all of it is like
Right.
connected. It's inside of it, but it's just like, what are you doing with it, type thing, right? And that's a really good approach that you shared of what you're doing with it. It's very symbolic, right?
Yeah, that's actually another part of it that I didn't even mention is like just like you said, like I saw a diagram the other day where the Fibonacci and golden ratios that come out of the flower, which secretly slash truly comes out of the crystal spiral,
Yeah.
as a part and not reflective of the crystal spiral necessarily. Um, only in part maybe. But I saw where those hit like 10 and 11 and they don't hit the 12th harmonic, the way that it spirals. And so it's it's all good that it exists, but it need not have control over anyone that chooses to be free of it. And that's the challenge, obviously, that the entirety of this reality that we're going through right now is reflective of. But that it is important to me that it's a part of this reality, and therefore, no matter what distorted form or what disfigured being might be appearing in front of me at any given time, or that I may have interacted with at any given time, as long as my intention was Christic through it, that form is simply a Christic form to that extent. Now, we all know that forms can be used for other purposes, and that's the fallen angelic agenda summed up. But the guilt and the shame and the pain and the fear, it's all still guilt, shame, pain, and fear. It doesn't matter whether you're one of them, whether you're from the top of the Maji Grail line or you're a plumber that's never heard about any of this stuff. It's the same techniques. Figure out how to deal with your fear, figure out how to deal with your guilt, figure out how to deal with your shame, figure out how to deal with your feelings of separation or isolation or change or disease or whatever the things might be. It's the same thing, and it takes the same techniques to solve the issues if you feel that they're issues for you. And so that perspective has been really important to me as well. It's like, it doesn't matter whether it's the flower of life or the flower of death or the flower of whatever. It's reflective of what it's reflective of, and I'm going to imbue it with Christic intent, because that's Christic intent is, now, and only having heard of Christic intent in this lifetime in the last 2 months, I have bonded that with my direct intention from the core of my heart of white light. That is what that is for me. And you know just like, I see it like this, to simplify all of that I just said. If I see the flower of life pattern or flower of death pattern, whatever you want to call it, I want to be able to look at that pattern with the exact same amount of love and connection that I look at when I see this plant over here to my right, or when I look at a tree outside, or everything in between, every speck of dust on the windowsill, every plastic or metal or whatever thing that's in my reality. All of this has equivalent love from me, because otherwise there's some state of disharmony happening, and you're giving your power to something that need not take your power. And that's how I see it.
It's a good place to be in. Even the symbols, I don't know if you saw on the stream before you jumped on, but we're revisiting KDDL 1, and it's showing the Metatronic harness on the densities. But there's also virtue code 14 and 15. And this was all portrayed like in the crop circle, the Guardian crop circle. Are you familiar with that, Nick?
No.
Okay. It was Lewis, could you pull that up real quick on the Templars manual cover? So this is back in July
Yep.
2001. And it didn't come up again until, what was KDDL 1? It was like 2015, I think.
14, 15.
Yeah, 14 or 15. Because August 2014 was the last physical workshop.
Oh, I have seen that.
This is the only identified guardian crop circle that she said that the guardians have told her about. And again, July 2001, and this is the Templars manual. Fast forward to 2014 or 15, KDDL 1, and it's revisited. And that's where we're at right now. I've got it queued up and it's paused, but she's explaining like how that symbol then was just showing the Metatronic harness, and then what the Guardians did with it to kind of develop the virtues and the Wheel of Freedom, and that the vice chart that we just showed you came out of this crop circle. So all of it, like even, like you're saying about your tattoo and what you're doing with it, so there's a lot of transmutation energy that we are surrounded by right now, and it's just a matter of what our choices are. Are we going to go against this and just polarize it, say, oh no, that's evil, or are we going to do like the Elaisans do with the vagus nerve and just go head first and make passages? And I commend you for your attitude, Nick. I really do, because I can tell you that I haven't seen many other people that came into the work, and I've met a few of them that had different types of tattoos, stuff that anti-Christic, other non-Christic stuff, and a lot of people just fall to pieces over it and just polarize it in their mind like that this is something that's evil, and kind of have meltdowns about it and stuff. So good job.
It's like looking back at Metatron
I'm not gonna lie.
in a lot of ways. Originally, Metatron came down to heal. It's kind of like looking back at Metatron. People see him as evil, anti-Christic, and everything else, but there was that Christic intent originally to come down, create the Eye of Metatron to really, I guess, now in hindsight, it was a pretty bad thing, but it was literally like a reflection lens for Phantom 4 beings to kind of be upgraded into like a Resadrak kind of prison type thing, like a max security prison. But it was used with the Christic intent to actually heal them. Obviously, we know what kind of happened when the Phantom and the Resadrak kind of came together, allied up, and took control of the lens. But again, that Christic intent was always there. Same with like originally with the Time Matrix as well. It was a beautiful Christic intent, a free will matrix, but the intention was always behind it was always love, and that's always going to continue to be.
Absolutely. Love and free will are tied. I mean, that's like those are the first primal distortions in the law of one, is literally that. I mean, it's like free will is number one. I don't know which one it was first. I think I say what that is love, and this is according to Ra. But love and free will were one and two, I believe. And I see it the same way, because I hear people all the time, and even like the fallen, like Ayasha really gets into some of the, and this is in the past, 15 years ago, some of these lectures, but sometimes she'll kind of harp, not necessarily harp, but kind of pound home the fallen, they're the fallen angelics, you don't want to, all that stuff's fallen, all that, the Metatronic stuff, the Enochian stuff, the Thoth stuff, that they're all fallen and they're fallen. And I'm like, yeah. And and someone had to hold the gate open for beings to be able to get out of whatever they fell to. Right. And so like, how many of these beings chose to fall just for the sake of doing evil, and how many of them fell in order to hold open the gateway for beings to come back.
Exactly.
And in doing that, because that level of consciousness can only be done by someone who has done it. And it's somehow that's the mystery of this time matrix is, you know, when we question whether or not we're doing good or evil or, you know, right or wrong, it's the same mystery of we are in the exact perfect place, just as all beings in all time matrices were and are, to perpetuate reality. And that is, and we choose to move through that in the direction of harmonious Christic inclusivity at the same time.
It's very, did you catch our last stream? It's very relevant to the Peru October that we revisited last week, Nick. It's
I don't
about,
know if I may have missed last week, actually.
okay. If you get a chance, definitely visit that one because it's about the double lines Christics were holding to exactly what you said, to be able to.
Which workshop?
Peru 2012, October. And I took excerpts from it because there was a lot of, because they had like a professional video crew on there and we're doing like tour guide video and stuff too. So I just like got the meat of it. And a lot was revealed there for the community about the double line thing and how Christics were holding passages from the Metatronic temples parallel Earthside, you know, for this to be successful, right? So it was a really powerful and very revealing workshop. I definitely encourage you to check that one. And the last stream too.
Where can I find that one?
It's on Arrayus. The link is also on the stream, on the description to the workshop.
Okay, cool.
Are you in the Newcomers group? Because there was a guide with the entire workshop there, I believe, as well.
Yes. Yes, I'm in that group. Sometimes I forget to check all those lovely groups because I'm so diving into the Telegram stuff.
Yeah, but it just complements everything you just said. Like there had to be somebody there holding the gates, right? Or else none of this would have worked. None of us would be here. So it's important to acknowledge that aspect of the attempts. You know, there's a big story on Speaker 2 and Yombi and Fatal Lead, all this stuff that's in the community as well. But what code are we using right now? The Mahadra Adrana, his masterpiece. You know, he knew CAD and he was a draftsman and put all this together for us. Just incredible. That should be acknowledged. The Christic elements that were there in that time and space and are still here in our current time and space.
Absolutely.
So that's an honorable approach, very honorable. And this is, a lot of this is about the noble planet, and there's honor in that, of what our planet has gone through, what it allowed to happen on our surface, and just, you know, getting to know that element, I think is important right now as we make passages through the polarity, upcoming polarities too.
Absolutely.
So I've got 2 videos queued up. I've got the KDDL 1. We've been just interweaving all this. We have the topic list of, it started with the vices, and all of it is connected. All of it's connected to the VV scripts as well, and I want to go back to that actually. I'm going to pull that up, but that's kind of what I started the podcast off with. Really good information to kind of re-emphasize what the platform is being developed upon and what our intentions are to kind of document this. You know, if it doesn't work out later or whatever, there was yet another attempt that we tried, right? Not trying to be pessimistic, but this is the 3rd round for me. And, you know, I'm very impressed with how it's turned out so far. But I think for it to continue, we have to be real with our vulnerabilities and our vices and our conditions. That's, you know, it's the human condition. It's what we're all still in the morphogenetic field here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start the video here.
1 second.
Okay, got it.
What they showed me last, I knew there must be some connection, but I had no idea where they were going with this, right? Each of those stages, the 9 stages of the natural expansion, is when the sextant clock is plugged in to us, is one stage of escalation that leads up to a final direct attack and the I destroy you stance, right? Now, there is a hidden victim-victimizer game going on here. There is an aggressor and there is a target. What's kind of funny is, or sad funny, but with the 666 program, where first it goes forward, then it goes backward, then it goes forward again, you end up with whoever was the victim in one, then it reverses and the other one is, then it comes back and does the other way again. So there's this polarity shift at the end of a cycle where who is the victim, he who is first will later be last kind of thing, and he who is victim will later be a victimizer, that kind of program. And it's been running and it affects everyone because it is coded directly into the outer domain Rosetta. It is literally coded in as a fighting code, as a program, as if somebody out there computer programmed and put microchips in a set of farm animals to make them go do weird things to each other every once in a while on a regular basis. Okay? That's what it's like. We don't have the chips exactly in our body as if somebody put us on a slab and stuck a metal piece in us. We don't need to because we have metatronic crystals where our own crystals have been taken, part of them, harvested through the 666 cycle, turned into hexagon-shaped crystals that are an unnatural configuration. I mean, you see hexagon-shaped crystals are always floating around in the atmosphere.
So this is the Rosetta code that we worked with in this workshop as well. And this is the level of creation, I think, of where distortions were taking place on. You kind of see the complexities of this code in the background a little. I'm going to actually zoom in. And again, this is speaker 2 to this one too. But this is the tachyons, all these little swirl things, those little rainbow swirls. I don't know how well the resolution is on this one, but just wanted to pull that up in context there.
Is the live feed still going on Facebook? Mine doesn't show it.
Yeah, it looks like it's still going. Maybe refresh it. Are we still live with us? I'm seeing it on my phone.
Yep, I see it now. Thank you.
Even on Earth, they cause things like the effects of moon dogs and those kind of things. They have to do with hexagonal ice crystals and those kind of things in the air. And these are not natural phenomena. They shouldn't be here. And they shouldn't be in our bodies either. So this victim-victimizer game is running through mutations in our key structure, which means it's running through mutations that are carried in our skin, our bone, and our blood.
That sounds very familiar too. That's schismatic, right?
Yeah.
Skin, bone, and blood. And that's the evolution of the work kind of has taken us to the plasma level of working where the distortions came from before external. So that's how deep the tampering was coming from.
Can't get much closer to home than that, right? And of course, well, actually you can. Just one step closer. They're carried in our seed atom, which runs our ruchete of the outer domains, right down through our private parts. So whenever a baby is conceived, under these conditions, the mutation and the victim-victimizer consciousness is imbued right into the cellular code. So this is a major program. If you look at this world and say, why for history, all of known history, why has everybody been fighting with each other? Well, there is an explanation. And it also has an explanation to do with, particularly since the fall of Metatron, where the Metatronic code was put into full operation in this matrix. It just created a game out of it for certain people. But it's not a game to the people who have to live it and suffer it and die through it over and over and over again. All right, it is a net, and it is a net we can begin the process of breaking. I just want to show you some of the postures and stances, because this, you may find some of them, I look forward to when we get the whole profiles out on them. That's one of the things I want to be able to finish first, so you can spot it when it's coming, right? When you start to find yourself saying certain things and going, uh-oh, wait a minute, redirect.
So kind of another prophecy. I think that's what the Wheel of Freedom disrupting the circuit is about, spotting it as it's coming, because you can catch your vulnerabilities, and by the time you're in the vices, you've gone past some vulnerabilities, so you're able to spot it. Really gives you everything in your hands, you know, to direct where your energy's going.
You know, that sounds like I'm being a victim, because if you're playing victim, it means you got a victimizer. You've engaged the game with someone. If you feel victimized, if you feel aggressive towards someone and you're being mean or whatever, or just thinking mean, right? You are still holding an aggressor energy toward the other person. So these things are, and they run subconsciously. They're like your elemental force taking part of your mind and making it do other stuff, and every once in a while it comes out your mouth and gets you in trouble. And then you kind of go, what'd I do? I did not. I didn't do that. I didn't say that. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. Yeah, forget it.
And what was the subconscious level, Lewis? Was that disciplines on the Wheel of Freedom?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
You get into these weird loop arguments where there just is no solution. And you can look at each other, two people engaged in it, and you think the other is absolutely nuts or completely possessed at the moment. You know, I mean, it's something. But it's actually, I mean, you can get attachments. There's all sorts of attachments that will connect to the field through these imprints, because these are held in the teleospheres. Remember, you have a teleosphere in your crystal body on each of the dimensional levels and density levels around you. These would normally hold in little gelesic points, right? Little Ors and Ls would hold the natural program of your expansion cycles and your memory matrix. You have a relationship energetically with everything you see and everything you manifest through yourself, through your body, and that it is stored as an imprint within the crystal body, as a radiation imprint.
All right, so she's going back to Cathara 2.3, which is where this chart is from, and which I think is fascinating what she just said, memory matrix. I didn't even catch that the whole time I've been studying this material. And I was wondering where that information was located, and this is it. Memory matrix, she's brought up in, there's an excerpt called, or actually a group called Origins of Our Fall on Facebook. And there's excerpts about how the Borgia came to be and how we experienced our local fall through the 666 polarity experiment. I think it was supposed to have 4 sixes, and it blew up on the third one. Where was I going with that? Okay, so actually through the memory matrix, beings can like reemerge even if they spaced us, even if they go through fall. And I think this is probably going to be relevant information in the future, because she briefly mentioned this in one of the excerpts. It's from FOL 7, Festivals of Light 7, which is the Histories of Our Fall. I know I'm sidetracking, sorry, but I'm just like catching this in real time, some of it.
That feels true, because for all beings to exist at all, there must be a cosmic mind perceiving the reality of all of them beyond their origin and their demise.
Like a photocopy. This is literally like a radiation copy type thing. But copy's not the right word. It's like an imprint, or something that was left there, an impression.
Right, exactly. And no matter what no matter what occurs to that being or through that being, the entities exist,
Yeah.
but they exist based on resonance.
Well, she says that they can birth back through the memory matrix through how many collectives were affected that still remember those beings, and the collectives that fell even. So if they're
Right.
holding that encryption for them, they can birth back through that, which sounds just like a magical experience. To come out of space dust and still birth through, what kind of a dashi is that? To still come through it. I'm not sure that that's quite been covered yet. It might be, though, in the future with all the dynamics happening right now.
I mean, it sounds to me, I look at these diagrams and they're reflective of truth to me. But without studying the geometries, that sounds to me like what primitive humans took to mean like sorcery, and like summoning. But what it is a group of beings collectively choosing to manifest a specific form through their powerful consciousness.
Usually dark ones in our history.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
dark ones
so
in our
that
history. And
could be
but
Christic.
we have
Could turn it around.
amazing, we have so many amazing like hosts in the Christic sphere to manifest as well going forward.
Yes. And I'm going back to speaker 2 as one of them, right? I mean, look at the work that was left here for us to be able to get to where we're at right now. And I stand by remembering the Christic elements that were very much in play even when I came in 2011 by the Cathara team and speaker 2, speaker 3, the work that these people, the foundation that they laid for us, And there's another group, Cathara Team Tribute, that has their modules up as well, the Cathara team. Noel Tobin, Pammy.
It's so important to keep abreast of this stuff too, because and humbly but seriously, I make a point to reflect and study this information daily, and that's why it's making the difference in my life that it has, in addition to the immensity and the truth behind the information. Like because I notice myself when I fall out of reflection on this information so quickly, it doesn't feel like it's the monumental infinite truth that it clearly is when we are resonating with it. And that feeling of resonance and the feeling and understanding the truth behind it and the immensity of it in our own DNA template, our embodiment, it does increase and it does become more powerful the more that we do it and become a part of it, see it, feel it.
Pausing it too, just like, what did she just say? What chart is that she's talking about? Like that's, I mean, because we put on a workshop and just listen, and you can listen to that same workshop 100 times and you're going to pick up something else that you need to delve deeper into. It's just going to happen. I've heard it over and over from people, and I've experienced it over and over. Like Peru, I didn't hear any of the information about parallel rolling until I needed to hear it, until my ears were open to it.
Welcome, Missy.
Hi.
Hi, Missy. Welcome. I just saw.
Hi. I don't know where you are in the conversation, but I can finally actually get on.
Oh,
it seems like Tuesdays have not been good days to be on, so we're out running around.
All right. Well, plan it ahead when you can. It's Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time every week.
Okay. That's good to know.
Then we got the book club tomorrow night, but that goes every other week, and that's on polyvagal theory. Anchored.
Okay.
I can
What
send you
time
the
is
book.
that?
That's going to be at 10 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, so a little bit later in the evening.
So 11 for me then. Okay.
Yeah.
No. Wait, Mountain. That's probably midnight for me.
Are you
Because I'm
Eastern?
East.
I do think I
East-
feel it's 4 o'clock my time.
2 hours difference, I think. 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah. Lewis is watching the sunrise usually around that time.
Usually 4 a.m.
I don't know where you guys are in the conversation, but I heard you said something about Peru. That's one of my favorite workshops.
Yeah, that was the last stream that we did last week. We revisited it, 2012 Peru. So just kind of connecting all this with the Wheel of Freedom, disrupting the circuit, the vices, also the VV excerpts, VV scripts that we're revisiting right now. Did you catch much of the stream at all, or did you just jump on?
Jumped on because I just came back. I was out today with my dad. We went and saw a lawyer and got, we're doing things that you have to do when, getting affairs done, that kind of stuff. And then went out to eat and came back. Then, I got stung by a wasp. It's weird. I haven't been stung by anything in 20 years and people are getting stung. I think there's genetically modified creatures or something, because I know all these people that are getting stung. It's like these bees and wasps and all this stuff is ruthless.
Even the ticks,
It's weird.
right? The Lyme disease connected to the ticks thing. That feels biological weaponry.
Yeah,
It's weird.
I know somebody that got a tick bite too. I'm hearing about all the ticks and stings this year. It's just crazy, off the chart. So yeah, that's going on. And so Tuesday, a lot of times we're out, but I just happened to get home early and then I had all these calls I had to make. So I wasn't sure what you guys were talking about, but you said so if it's 3 o'clock that you start, it's always 5 o'clock my time, I guess.
Okay.
I didn't know if you had a set time that you started, because sometimes I thought you were flexible on that time thing.
No, we're trying to keep it consistent. I usually start like an hour ahead of time just to set the frequency and the premise, what we're going to talk about, me and Lewis share. Right now, we're starting with the vices. Are you familiar with this chart? I'm going to put it up. Are you watching the stream on Perspectives, Missy?
I have no idea which one I click. I always go to Newcomers and Perspectives to look at what you guys are doing, but I have no idea which one I looked at. And sometimes I just click on your page to see if you're live. That's what I did this time. It said like a face of a little kid with his hair standing straight up, and it said you're live.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's how I got it.
So if you go to Perspectives, go to Facebook, Alhambra Perspectives group. Are you familiar with that?
Oh yeah,
you were commenting
all the time. I look at both of those. I usually look at those two first because they're saved. Those are saved. The other ones I forget, but because I look at those so much, they're saved. That's how I find out what's going on usually.
Okay, and we're gonna switch to Alpha Perspectives next week and just do the Freedom Forum group. It's a new group that we're just gonna do the streams on from now on. So we'll post that also. Maybe Lewis can post that here. We'll have it in the description.
Okay, let me see if I can see this, what you're putting up here.
Yeah. Yeah, this chart here is really good.
Okay. I'm on a phone though. I'm not on an iPad or anything, so I don't know if I'll be able to read this. It's awfully small. Yeah, I can't really.
Okay.
Is it the Wheel of Freedoms? Is that what it is?
Can you see it on the Zoom call, Missy? Can you see it better? Because Lewis just put it up too.
Yeah, well, I can't really read it, but I'm guessing, is it the Tantry Wheel of Freedoms?
Yes.
Is that what it is?
Yep, that's it. So maybe you can zoom in and see but there's different columns: virtues, vices, vulnerabilities, and noble traits.
Just gonna find the vices section.
Yeah, you can zoom in on that for. If you're seeing it on the Zoom call, Lewis is gonna expand that for you so you can see it better.
Okay. Claire
going,
Sentience,
keep
yeah,
going,
Claire, yep,
keep going, keep going.
sites. So
And let's
guess
flip it
what?
backwards.
I'm gonna do a roundtable discussion on 4th of July with Indigo Angel.
Oh, wow.
Yes, yeah, I did a session with her and she posted it because she liked what I had to say, because I started bringing through all the stuff when we were doing the J seal removal on the cathedral networks. It was like clearing all this stuff, all this, like, because one of the J seals is in the same area as the Bahamas, one of the tributaries of the Bahamas that connects to Cathedral 1. It's one of
okay.
those points, the Majorca. I think it's the one, like if you're looking at Majorca, it would be to the right of it. You know what I mean? But I know it's probably backwards. We're looking at it from our perspective, but I think it's actually the opposite way if you were embodying it. Like it would be, like if you were that, it would be the left side of your body, but you look at it to your right, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I'd have to see the thing, but because like Siesta Key would be west of Majorca. Well, this would be east. Bahamas is east of Majorca. So, and I had all that stuff when I went to the Bahamas on the cruise, and I'm going again. The water started to turn color, just like those Nomi bubbles.
You
It
were
was
saying, I
like
remember.
this metallic looking,
Yeah.
like, and then diamonds on the water.
Wow.
So it must be, it's coming up from underneath. That's what I'm thinking. And there's other people talking about like the liquids and fascia of the body too.
Yeah.
I've noticed it. I'm hearing people talking about it,
It's
not
coming up.
necessarily quoting her work, but they're picking it up.
Yeah. Well, even the
Because it's-
science, like the vagal nerve science too. It's really, it's
Yeah.
awesome to see it all bridging together.
Yeah. So this must be the outpicturing is starting to happen of it.
I think so. Yeah.
Of the positives.
Let's have a look,
I mean,
actually.
we're going to see the negative, of course, too, unfortunately.
Yeah. But the
Of
eternal
course,
positive
we're seeing the
context.
shit show. We're seeing that shit show go on right
Yeah.
now. That's
The firestorm. Gonna start up.
oh my god.
Let's see.
So there's a lot to
those
this
are
chart.
I
See,
see.
so she said that the waters were changing color. So that
Yeah.
would be the deep aquifers, which would mean that'd be the Ludfer layer. Now, if we go back to the truer flows,
Lewis, I'm gonna step
Okay,
away just for a couple minutes. Yeah.
what did
The
Oh, sorry.
beast thing, what was coming to me is that I'm working on the magnetosphere now, because I've been working on the Ludfers and the fascia. So now I'm working on the top one. The chart just went away. Put that back. The top one that connects, I think it's to the magnetosphere or something. That
Yeah.
And
the
something about the
aquas,
banshee that was coming, about the banshee, your reversed your reverse something is the banshee. What's
Yeah.
that called? I can't think of what it's called.
what year, Missy, did you start seeing all the stuff with the waters? Because it's really interesting, because the Ludfer layer, or the green IR layer, is literally it's connected to the deep aquifers, which is all linked to the oceans, I'd be assuming. So if we have a look at the actual date, 2017 to 2022, so it will have started in 2017. And because of how the outpicturing occurs when something goes onto the grids, it normally takes 8 years for it to start outpicturing. So what's 8 years from 2017?
The past, the especially the last cruise is when I saw the colors. But I had anchored the frequency for myself because that was the let's see, 1, 2, 3. That was the 4th cruise I went on. I went on 2 cruises to the Bahamas on the Carnival ship, and then I went on the Italian ship with my friend Shivani that goes by Alma now, but she's into the Christic, not as much into the newer material, but some of the older one. But we were working
Yeah.
on some stuff when we went on the I can't even think of the name of the Italian ship right now. So it was this past February when I was on the cruise, and I think she had did she have an update? She was supposed to have an update. I don't think she came on. It was the day that I left for the cruise. She was supposed to have an update. I don't know if she had it. I don't think she did. But that's the cruise that I started to see the colors on the water.
So I'm assuming this was like this year then.
Yes.
So
And the
that lines
sky
up with the
actually
green eye
flashed
layer
on
then.
and off pink. The sky flashed on and off pink too.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, go to that
So this is-
chart. So
Yeah, there we
the
go.
top one, I can't read it. Not
Just
that
a
one, the
second.
one below it in gold. What does that say? I'm working on that now.
The
that
chronosphere.
the coronasphere.
Yeah.
I know I am. Oh my God, I'm getting chills. Oh God.
We're doing it.
am. The bee sting told me that. Can't read.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you started saying all the things with the waters.
It affected the digestion and the respiratory. That's what it was. I'm like, what is going on with the respiratory and the digestive? Because I've had so many because the weird thing is I have all this vagal pain. With the first bee sting, that was the bumblebee sting when I was in the blueberries. Actually, it made me like numb. It was so weird. The vagal pain went away because I have a lot of like IT band pain. It was just like it was bizarre. Boy, those
And
colors.
have you never had reactions like this before then?
I
Because I know
haven't
you
been
said it was
stung
like
by
20 odd.
anything in 20 years. I haven't.
Yeah,
I mean, when I
either.
was a kid, I was, but I haven't. I think, I don't know. I think they're, they're like going crazy, and I've heard that some of them are genetically modified now. I don't know.
Yeah, I bet about that.
Me too.
I don't know. I just know
Honestly,
something's changing. Something is changing. It feels like it.
Aggressive.
Yeah. But even with the aggressiveness, the outpicturing, as far as, everything's going to be amplified. I think you're going to have a positive outpicturing, and you're going to have a negative one. You're going to see the polarization of it more.
Yeah, I think so. However much support is there for it as well is how it'll outpicture from either side, I guess.
So I'm going on this same cruise. It's the last one because when I leave from Charleston, what's happening is they're actually shutting that port down, okay? Because they're building condominiums there. That's why we're going on another one in November.
Okay.
I get there's something else going on in November. And see, I've been working with Fort Sumter because Fort Sumter is where the shots of the Civil War were fired. And I think that connects into the 666 wormhole.
Cool.
I mean, I think what I've been shown is I work on what's called tributaries, like things that feed into these larger grids, whether be they stargates or cathedral networks.
Me too. Yep.
That's what I'm working on.
Sedona. Okay.
So Puerto Rico is a big player. See, Fort Sumter, it's interesting, okay, that it was on Rainbow Row is where and actually the first liquor store in the whole country, I find this interesting, is in Charleston on Rainbow Row, and there's something about that
what
holds
year,
this.
Missy? What year was that? Do you know?
I wrote notes down. Hold on a second.
Okay, that's fascinating. Wow.
Yeah, and Rainbow Roll, I get it has something to do with the reverse rainbow and causing the war between masculine and feminine, the war between the this whole transgender, all this stuff. Let's see. I wrote all this. The oldest liquor store. Civil War shots were fired 4:30 April 12th in 1861. The oldest liquor store in America, the Tavern on Rainbow Row, was built in 1686. Next to the Exchange, the old Exchange, the Provost Dungeon. You know, the largest liquor store is actually in Thornton, Colorado.
Oh, it's right up the road. It's like a mall liquor store or something.
And then the biggest moonshiner is in the area I'm in right now. That was the
Yeah.
Popcorn Sun. There's something about the Al Ghul, the spirits of that, when it's the abuse of it,
Yeah.
that causes thing in the grids. And with us coming into 4th of July, that's why I wrote all this down, because people celebrate the bombs bursting in air with the fireworks,
Yeah.
and
yeah,
they
yeah.
dump themselves down with Al Ghul.
Hmm. Well, even the native tribes relocated off their grids, and the alcohol that affected them too, the culture and the everything. So kind of
Yep.
linked together.
Yep.
That's incredible. So what was the, because you shared the documentary that you recently did, but they didn't let you say everything that you wanted to say, so you didn't want it all shared out there. Can you talk on that, or do you not want to talk on that?
No, what happened is, I mean, Garrett, the one that did that, he was trying to find a common place between the science. Did you get to watch it?
I've just watched the parts with you. I just wanted to see you talk. I just scanned past it.
Because now the link doesn't even work. Maybe because I don't have Vimeo. I don't pay for Vimeo, so I don't know if that's the problem. But now it's like a dead link and it doesn't work. But
okay.
you know, I brought Christic things, and the only reason he cut it, it's not that he didn't like it. He's trying to find continuity between what I said, between what the scientists said,
Yeah,
and between what the musicians said. But my one friend Joshua said, if they just would have followed you around for days, that might be better than the other two.
It's all I was interested in. It's what you were talking about, the land and stuff. So are you doing another, because you just posted a stream that you're preparing to do, or you're going to be speaking at a place? What is that?
I'm doing is working at a gathering. It's called the Appalachian Starseed Reunion. And it's going to be interesting because I'm sure this is going to be a mixed bag of all kinds of people, you know, UFO people. So there's going to be people that are probably like in the Metatronic reversal, whatever. But I'm just going to present who I am, you know, and I do have these 3rd generation night vision goggles, and I do teach people to look through them. And most of what we see is military. I mean, it could be military drones, and and the stuff that we do see that's organic. I'm not going to say whether it's benevolent or not. It's coming from the earth, and I think it's what the consciousness that inhabits it, whether it makes it benevolent or not. I don't feel they're extraterrestrial. I think it's an interdimensional thing, but mainly it's something the earth makes, like plasma that's coming from the earth. It's discharged, like Brown Mountain. What happens on the physical level? It's because you have a bed of quartz and the water is running so fast through there. You know, you have a bunch of waterfalls and stuff. It has to, it's like a capacitor. It has to discharge.
Right. That's a good way to explain it. Did you, we
So-
just caught some on video a couple nights ago, actually. Did you see the video with the rods that I posted on my YouTube?
Is it on yours?
Yeah, it's on the Elaisa shares.
Something with lightning, and I wanted to watch. I started to watch
lightning
it, but
elementals,
and I didn't finish watching it because I was not in a place where I could actually see the phone. The lighting wasn't right, so I was going to go back and watch that.
Have you heard of rods? Like what they're catching in the jungles and forests and stuff? Like elementals or something? We caught one that just right on film. It went right by her shoulder out of this well that we were like inspecting. It looks like this really old well, and it has a dome over it. And there was lightning going off all around us. It was really intense. Like I took a picture right when lightning struck, and just it lit up the whole sky. It looks like daytime. I got 2 pictures of my friend Promise with that she was showing me some of the land out there.
Yeah. See, that's I think that stuff is just natural phenomena. That's what happens at Brown Mountain. It's like the earth, when all the elements are right, it's like a recipe. It makes these things happen. And then what I think happens is that consciousness of whatever type can interact with it, and it uses it as a battery source. That's my thought on it.
That's an interesting theory. Yeah. Can you post the
Instead of-
link like to this event in our chat here and on the comments on Perspectives so people can see it?
Say that again?
Can you post the link to where you're going to be speaking at in the chat and Perspectives?
Oh, yeah, I will. I will do that. I'll
Okay.
tell you right now, too. It's an old fort in Western North Carolina. So it's a 4-day event. People can camp, and then there's all different people presenting things. I mean, I'll be doing the night vision. I'll be speaking on ley lines, vortexes, and I'll probably get into talking like what we're talking about, the cathedrals and the stargates, and what I do with the tributaries, and what reversals look like, and what ascending hubs look like, and descending hubs. I mean, that's probably where I'm going to go with all that stuff. And then I'll be selling some of the jewelry that I make, and a friend of mine makes. She makes different things. I mean, but it's not mainly focused on the booth thing, because that's more during the break. So we'll see how it goes. I don't have any expectations of you never know how events are going to be,
Yeah.
So we'll
Missy,
see.
when is this event?
When is the event, Missy? Nick was asking.
August 1st through the 4th.
In North Carolina.
I might be there.
Yeah.
I live in Wilmington.
In Old Fort, North Carolina. Yeah. Which is, I kind of want to get the group together, people that want to go do some of these vortex things and work some of these, clearings, ley line clearings, because there's so much going on in Western North Carolina. It's crazy. You guys there? Did I lose you?
Is that where you're from, Nick? I think Nick is down the road from it. And Sean?
I'm from Fayetteville, Missy, which is about 4 hours from Western North Carolina. And currently I'm on the coast in North Carolina.
Okay, so you closer to like Kitty Hawk and all that then?
I'm more south in Wilmington.
Okay. How far are you from Myrtle Beach?
About an hour 10.
Oh, okay. And then I also am in Charleston area, in Edisto Island,
Okay.
when in the wintertime when I'm not in Western North Carolina.
How frequently are you in Myrtle?
I haven't been to Myrtle in years. I don't go to Myrtle Beach. I'm just saying, I just brought up Myrtle Beach because I figured you might be close to that. And then Myrtle Beach is about 2 hours from Charleston.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Well, I may be at this event then. I have to come find you.
Cool.
Where are you from, Missy?
Originally New Jersey, and then grew up in South Florida, and then was in Georgia, all over the country as a truck driver with my husband. And then I've been in Western North Carolina since the early 2000s, except that during COVID, my husband wanted to build a vacation rental with some of his money that he received, and we were supposed to, when his mother passed, so what we were supposed to do was turn this into a vacation rental. But the COVID mess, it's a tiny home on the beach. I mean, about a mile from the beach. What happened was, instead of like having two places, the other house was falling apart, COVID was coming in, our best friends needed a place to live. And then my dad, with all his stuff going on, it turned out that he just wanted to keep that small place, get rid of the other place, sell it to our friends. And now we're, back and forth between here and there, but he spends a lot of time there because he has a hip camping business. So hip camping is like glamping instead of Airbnb. We have an RV we rent out. So that's his business. And instead of renting the tiny home out, he's living in it. And I live there in the winter, and he's back and forth. So next week we are meeting at our old house because they're going out of town. They're actually going to Destin, Florida. The friends
It's
of
beautiful
ours.
out there. We just got back not too long ago from Destin. It's really nice.
How far is Destin from Siesta?
It's on the other side, so it's on the Biloxi side. Or wait, what am I? I think it's like way more north of Siesta. Yeah. Yeah, but it's beautiful beaches. It's close to Opal Beach. What was the other town? Went through Mobile, stopped in Biloxi on the way there. Just did a whole road trip. It was nice.
Oh, Mobile. Did you see that USS Alabama and Mobile,
Yep,
Alabama?
parked out there. Yep.
Yep, I've done that. You know what's interesting is that whole Gulf area now, because Indigo Angel's going to be broadcasting from Houston, Texas. Cancun, it looks like it's going to get hit by a Category 5 hurricane.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How did you get
I'm not
into all of
sure
this,
what that
Missy? Like,
Gulf thing.
where did your story start with all this? Like, to do investigations and everything. How did this start for you?
Years ago, before I knew about Iasha or Lisa
Yeah.
Renee or any of the stuff, I'm trying to think. The first thing I was drawn to was who were those? Well, I read James Redfield years ago to just get some context, and Carlos Castaneda books. I was really into those first, and like the Myths of Avalon and all that kind of stuff when I first started waking up on a deeper level, and Lynn Andrews and things like that. But I'm trying to think. It was somebody that wrote those Pleiadian books. Was they
I know
didn't
who you're talking about. Barbara. I think it was Barbara or something.
Barbara Marcinek, some of that had some pieces for me, and even as screwed up as Zachariah Zitchin was,
Yep, I was into that too.
I had to look into the Lost Book of Enki because it fell off a shelf. I heard something on Coast to Coast because I used to listen to Art Bell.
Me
When
too.
we were,
I was raised on it.
when we were, in the truck. You couldn't sleep and you're driving at night, you listen to Art Bell,
Totally.
right?
Yeah,
And
late nights in the
so
desert, high desert.
I think I heard Zachariah Zitch. I don't know if he was alive or somebody was talking about him, but I when I was in, it was in Salt Lake City, Utah. A book fell off of the shelf, and it was the Lost Book of Enki. And when I started reading this book, I got sick on the road when we went to North Carolina. My stomach wasn't feeling that great or something, because sometimes too much driving, but I happened to be picking wild strawberries, and I got this download at the time about Tiamat, and I felt like I was part of Tiamat, like I was Tiamat or something on some level. It was weird. Like,
was that a moon?
I'm having
Tiamat? What was Tiamat again?
Tiamat's like Tara, like the Tiamat Maldek, that the planets.
The asteroid belt. Okay.
The
one that blew
asteroid
up?
belt. Like my consciousness units were part of that asteroid belt. I could feel that.
That's deep.
Yeah, and I started channeling. I hate that word channeling, but
Yeah.
for lack of a better word, receiving data, not channeling it, but like receiving data years before that about that the planets were beings, kind of like in that movie, one of those Marvel movies. Trying to think which one it was,
It was one of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
Guardians of the Galaxy or something, and the father was bad, Star-Lord. Are any of you fans of
I've heard
Marvel?
of it. Yep.
But then there was this one movie that the being, all the people on the planet make up a being, and then the problem is it absorbs the consciousness of all these beings to feed this one thing, which is like, it looked like an AI Agrigor or something, but then it didn't happen. I don't even know if I'm getting that right, but that's what I'm seeing. It's like this whole giant being, but it's made up of all these pieces and parts. Like, I guess on one level in the Christian theology, it's like the body of Christ, right? The big toe and the mouth and the face is all part of this one being, and yet they're individual people that make up this thing. I mean, I think Christians actually believe that. I don't know. That's kind of what I'm getting.
I was thinking Terra also, like fragments of Terra.
Right, fragments of Tara or Terra is like, I think like Tiamat. I must wonder if Tiamat and Terra is kind of the same thing.
I think all the planets are part of Terra, like it's just fragments of it. And Earth helped like the core of it, like its connection all the way to Andromeda and Eartha. But they're all just like jewels of Terra or something, or pieces, That's what I remember from Voyagers too.
Yeah.
Lewis, do you remember like the definition of?
That's exactly what it was.
Okay, all right.
So when Terra's morphogenetic field fell, it infused, the morphogenetic field that fell infused with our sun, which created the solar system. So yeah, all the planets within the solar system are a part of it. And originally that was kind of the plan for every planet. Yeah, for every planet to go back into the morphogenetic field organically, but it'd probably take millions of years at that point. But yeah.
Another thing I wanted to bring up before you go back to the topic that you were on, I didn't want to screw
That's
up
all
whatever
right.
the
I've
topic.
been meaning to get you on here, Missy. Thanks for coming on. That's fine.
Mandela effects. Everybody's talking about it. Voyagers has Mandela effects in it. I know for a fact.
Totally. I'm seeing it too.
Asheville is in there now, and so is Mount Mitchell. And I know Asheville and Mount Mitchell were not in there.
Savannah, right?
Now,
Savannah, Georgia. It's where
Mount
Katie's
Mitchell
at.
is the highest point in western North Carolina on the Eastern Continental Divide.
Right. There's another one is Savannah, though, you pointed out to me, and that's where Katie's at. Like there was some connection.
Yeah. Now I know that J Seals, it's the same, like Charleston. Wait, I have this written down too, because I thought it was important for whoever I was going to connect with was, let's see, the Pale Horsemen. The Pale Horsemen on the 4th, the vertical line of 24 degrees, 24.99 north, east of Nassau, Bahamas, corresponds with Earth Seal 8, southwest Las Palmas and the Canary Islands, density 2, semi-etheric, and also Cuba, and connects into the Falcon Phoenix wormhole. The left side of the neck, lymphatics, part of but it's also part of the Cathedral Network 1, the Gruel Mayaca Siesta Key. Okay, so that's 4. And then 7 was Charleston. So the one I'm working on, 70 degrees west, 33.13 north off the coast of Charleston, where a Category 5 hurricane, if not aligned to code pulse, the trumpets and the chevron bursts. My grid work started there in 2015 at Fort Sumter before I was called to live there. Or actually, I wasn't called to live there. Ron was. This is his piece. My husband's piece is the whole Charleston piece, but I end up doing other people's grid work. I don't want to do it anymore.
That happens, yeah. It's kind of our condition. All the relocating that's happened with the tribes and everything.
Yeah.
We got to get back on our grids. That's why I think it's important to visit sites that we're drawn to, parts of the land, because that is part of your template that's there to reconnect with. You just may have got relocated.
My mother was a lot Norwegian, and I have to go to Norway and Iceland is what I feel. It's all these people want to move to where the equator is, and I'm feeling like I can't tolerate the heat at all lately. It's even worse for me, and I want to go to a colder climate.
Oh, okay. Maybe
but I've got that
stuff.
and stuff going on. So
Yeah, I want to read to you what Erica Renee wrote in the comments about Tiamat also. She says that she read somewhere that when Tiamat exploded, the rainwater is from that it was made of more water than earth. Or the rainwater is from that. Our rainwater, I guess, on earth is from that. So after it exploded, I guess maybe what's that term called? Our firmament. I
firmament.
think that's what she's referring to. Maybe like our firmament kind of formed out of Tiamat exploding or something. I'm not sure. Maybe you can expand, Erica.
Wow. Ooh.
That's a different one. I haven't heard that before either. It's yeah.
The way that feels though. Ooh, I'm feeling acid rain with that though now. When
Acid
she
rain.
said that, that's what that feels like. It doesn't feel like the aquifers feel like alkaline water, like, you know, lots of magnesium. And I just sat in a hot springs the other day. We have a hot springs here. I mean, I live in Hot Springs, not in the town. I live in Spring Creek area of Hot Springs, but I actually went to the hot springs and sat in the tubs this past weekend.
That's healing to do that. We have a lot of hot springs here in Colorado too.
Yeah. And that's got like a lot of magnesium and you know, good minerals. But when you just said that, to me it felt more like, you know, because I'm seeing a celestial, like even Zachariah Zitchin called it the celestial bombardment. It's like a celestial war. It's a consciousness war between, you know, Tiamat, Maldek, and these different factions of, you know, Nibiru or whatever, like Battleship Nibiru or Wormwood or whatever. I'm seeing it as like a Star Wars thing. Like it's not a positive thing, right? This these entities, these I don't know, it's not feeling like what's coming up from underneath.
Lewis, what do you
Yeah.
recall from Voyagers 2 on Tiamat? Do you have much information on that? Because I know you've studied all the histories with that.
I always assumed that Tiamat is directly linked into Maldek. I always thought that Tiamat was density 1 version of, and then you'd have Maldek, which would be density 2, or it might be the other way around. But I could be wrong on that.
Maybe we can pull up the index from Voyagers 2 and see where it's mentioned. Do a little scan over.
You know, it's almost feeling like, you know, like I mean, this isn't her, this is my feeling.
Okay.
Sacred union of Tiamat and Maldek, you know, like if they're together as a masculine and feminine and being split apart.
Okay.
Instead of being, because you just, the way you said it, Lewis, what you just said made me actually feel like they're supposed to be one, but they're fighting against each other. And what's happening right now? The war between the masculine and feminine on this planet, the war between, you know, the left and the right, the war between all these things, and it's amplifying.
So
And affecting us from like a planetary level. Like that's interesting dynamic. Like Mars.
Yeah, and it's going to be worse towards November as the shit show continues to go on.
Yep, it's going to start in November after Hethalon here, August. What are you feeling? What did you get from Hitharo, Missy? Like the May activations, all that? Electrical.
You know what? It's almost at this point, it's a blur. I can't even remember. I can't because it's just been.
It is a blur.
Wait, I do remember. Oh, the Aurora Borealis stuff. It was that I got that time. I actually had like a fever. The solar flares make me, at times, it's like breathless. Like you have to push through, push, and compression. It's kind of like it's being like, you know, like oh, okay, this is the way I see it. Like for coffee drinkers that do a French press, you push that. You want to get that liquid going through and keep the coffee grinds in a certain. It's the only thing I can think of right now. You want the liquid to come out the other end and not have all the grinds come with the liquid.
Right. Compression, being compressed, sounds like.
Yeah. Or what do they call it? Like if you you're trying to purify something, you want to
Refinery.
purify,
Or
refine. Yeah,
but bifurcation, I think was the word.
yeah.
So we actually
But it's-
stumbled upon like one of the mugs in KDDL 3 where we checked the dates for May 2024, and it actually said back then when she presented this that Solar Ring Wave 9 was going to release. And I'm thinking that's what those solar flares were coming through the Aqualine buffers, that we just had a rainbow light show or something of the death wave, because it's a Bardo wave from the sun. The net field sun is dying still. So it's releasing its Bardo
Right, well,
waves, and there's 15 of them.
I think that the other side knows this, and the ones that control NASA know this, and Elon Musk and whoever's doing the rockets or whoever did whatever, they must know this. So that's why they were also doing HARP and shooting off rockets at that time, because what some people were saying is they were looking at it, it's like the cervix of like the female, and they're shooting a rocket into this as this hole's opening up. Did you hear
Oh,
that?
wow.
Something
No,
like that.
I haven't.
No, if
I
I'm
know they're trying to get out of
quoting.
here, building
Yeah.
bunkers and trying to get to Mars and just get off the planet as soon as they can.
Right. It's like when Iyasha always says it's not either or, sometimes it's both.
It's
I
both.
kind of agree. A lot
Yeah.
of these things that are going on, that, there's an activation and yet they're harnessing it, or they're trying to harvest the energy and, control it, or make people where they don't see it. So some people might not receive the activation because they might have a frequency fence, so they can't. Like if they were
Yeah.
vaccinated or something, I don't know. I'm just
Well,
grabbing
no,
at whatever.
she's given a comparison of like somebody going through a gate, that they're literally oscillating at a frequency that they would turn invisible after they pass through the gate to a person that can't see the gate or can't access it. So that kind of makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah. So August, I guess we look at it, it's always around the 12th of August. That's my dad's birthday, actually. August 12th. Isn't that when Hitharo starts?
Is that Hitharo or no? It's Hethalon, I think.
I
Lewis,
get
is
them
that the
confused.
day?
I know it's the magnetic one. I get the names confused though.
Yeah,
But isn't it all
Magnetic could be
it's
Lions
it'll be
Gate?
Hethalon, won't it?
Hethalon. Okay, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, it is. We just had Hitharo.
What I always wondered is, how does that affect people in the southern hemisphere? Is it the opposite for them a little bit? Or doesn't it matter? I mean, because does the sun affect them differently because they're on the other side of the equator? I've always wondered that.
That's exactly what Iyasha was wondering too. She just asked that same question in Peru. So it's like a question.
I must have missed that. I'm sure I've heard her say it, but I don't remember.
Are you finding anything, Lewis, or do you want me to go back to the vices chart, maybe?
Nothing specifically about them.
About Tiamat, Maldek.
No. It all goes back into Nibiru and Tiamat, which I'm assuming they might be density 1 versions of other planets. Because we know what Maldek is.
Yeah.
Okay, so Maldek would have been the density 1. Tiamat would have been density 2. Because let's see, for the morphic field of the star, we manifested within harmonic universe 55 million years ago. The planets of our local solar system: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Maldek, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and Nibiru. So Maldek and Tiamat are probably one of the same. Maybe. Much like Earth has Earth, Terra, Gaia. Maldek might also just be the density 1 version of Tiamat.
Right, and is one like the masculine, one's the feminine kind of, one's the electrical, the magnetic. That's kind of what I'm getting.
Okay.
Doesn't exactly say it, but it does make sense.
Implication
Yeah.
there.
Because what is Nibiru? Is Nibiru the same as Tiamat? Are they both the same place, or
Some people say Nibiru is, I've heard it also wormwood, and it's like a satellite. It's like an artificial thing that orbits around it. I mean, other people said that. I don't know. Like the people when when that blew up, they escaped, and now they're on Nibiru.
It's been a question that's
see.
Like the
coming
Death
up.
Yeah,
Star,
Nibiru
like the
Battlestar.
Death Star or something like a Star Wars thing.
Yeah,
You know, they
that's what I
have to.
said.
Yeah, it's an artificial stellar body known as Nibiru Battlestar, aka the biblical wormwood, to force catalytic pole shift on Earth between 2003 and 2008 in order to exterminate human population as a quest for domination of poles of empty stargates. Nibiru and Anunnaki received control of solar stargate 4
And
from the Emerald Covenant Garden.
how does it connect in with Planet X, the blue star Kachina, and the red planet? You've heard all that too. You know, there's people talking about those things.
Sounds like other systems trying to blend. or
So
something.
Maldek. So if Planet X will be Maldek, because Maldek is in an alternative orbit, isn't it? It's supposed to be going into, like, it's kind of in between our system, and then there's like a black hole system that it goes into, and it's, I don't know what kind of specific, well, I don't know the specifics of that. I don't know what it causes. Let's see.
Oh, who's the puppy?
I know it's little puppy. Is that right at the camera there?
Her name is Harley.
So doing. I love
Harley.
Fredo.
Look at you. Harley, come here. Come here. Come here. Harley, come here. Come here. Lord. There's no telling.
Was it all part of the beast machine, like in dance form? This was a contraption or something?
Let's have a look, shall we? Because
That's
the
what I
Beast
was-
Machine was multiple parts. So you had the 666 Beast Machine, which was directly linked into things like Jehovian seals, your Metatronic implants from our shadow body, which the shadow body is an alternative nadial body? Or no, it's not nadial, it's radial body.
Radio.
But it's also linked into, yeah. So kind of how it works is when you go to sleep, normally what would happen is in any regular system, you would go into your astral body, you'd pretty much go out into the D3 and D4 fields. Now, with the shadow body, what that does is it overrides the astral body and puts the consciousness into, well, it kind of puts it into like 3 different parts. So 2/3 will go into the artificial nadial body, which will be then connected to your shadow, which then gets taken to Phantom or wherever else and brings back reversals. While the last 1/3 that you didn't take gets kind of thrown into, I think it's D2, into the D2 fields. So you're having to deal with all your emotional body and whatnot on that level.
Is that where the dark flowering takes place then, what you're saying? That's what I'm kind of seeing.
I guess you could say that the shadow dancers are the fatally of our time, in theory, because they kind of serve the same purpose. The shadow dancers were dark avatar versions of the fatally, so to speak, because the shadow dancers themselves, they used to try possess.
Are
They
they
wanted to
themes? Are the fatally themes?
E-query.
fate. Which would be a type of theme.
Yeah, there's some really good excerpts that I made called Fatality's Tactics and Origins. It's on my Rumble, Missy. And she covers
Okay.
all of that and where they came from. I could pull it up right now and play it for us. Actually, it might be worth a revisit. But there's
Yeah,
like 3 parts to it.
Through my
Yeah, let's go for it.
for a
Yeah.
while that how those things connect, like, and with the Wisa deck and the Wisa Drac and all that stuff, and where they, I mean, I think that stuff, doesn't that connect into that Norway spiral too, and Abaddon? Is that how they got in there in our timeline now?
Yeah,
Since
in Density
2009.
1. It's where the
Mhm. And
interface
Density-
came from.
Because something shifted in 2009. I think everything started going faster and escalating. And that Norway spiral was an outpicturing of that.
So when did the Norway spiral happen? What year was it?
2009.
2009.
So it would have happened 2001. So what happened in 2001 other than the blue fleet?
9/11
What's
happened in
interesting
2000.
is they
All right.
And isn't it interesting? It's over, you know, the cathedrals. I mean, it's like weird. All the, you know, there's, and even 9/11, isn't that like a Trinity? Is that a Trinity gate in New York? Is that one of the Trinity gates?
It was connected to the trumpet pulses, so it was kind of like it was like a test that went wrong, so to speak.
Yeah, this probably needs to get out there more too, because a lot of people are trying to figure out, like, how does dark flowering happen? What level? Who are the Fatali? So there's like 3 parts, and this is from Sliders 12, part 1. And I can go ahead and play it if you guys want to hear.
Okay.
All right.
they were explaining to me this process by which themes incarnate that has to do with this quantum distribution. It's a quantum distribution issue, and that's why a certain pattern of birthing in as pairs has to be adopted, because there's so much quantum that you can't bring them through with equal quantum at first. You have to bring one through with more that holds the Christic line, the other with enough that it can open the Christic line, but not 2 Christic lines open at once, because it would overwhelm the quantum of the field that was being put in. So there's this whole process of getting the rest of you into body without throwing the balances of your local cosmos out of whack. So there's a whole process involved with that. We'll probably look more at what that is. And what's fascinating to see is a long time ago, there were some of the theme families that had a problem. They went in to help into the external creation, and this goes back to, and I forget how many millions of years ago, the Aquari. Remember in the fall of Aquari, where there was a group that became the Equari, which became the Dragoon, starting with the white dragons. They were themes that had come out from the deity planes to help, and their Aidens fell because they didn't get their Christ star lines open in time. I think it was like 250 billion years ago. But the distortion of that template created all sorts of gender mess-up distortions all through the matrix. Part of what this Crystal River mission is finishing that and bringing our themes home. Kicking and screaming, some of them. Right? Or letting them finish fall, whichever. Because some of them became predators. And this is where we have like the White Dragon First Falls, who are still working a Christic agenda and have been ever since. So it's kind of like family cleanup time for the themes, but it's not just the themes. They could come out from the deity planes through the Aquarian matrix and entered down into the drama where things were falling already to try to help. And through trickery, they got dragged into serving what they thought was Christic and then finding out it wasn't, where they found out that false Christics exist and, people giving lip service and doing the opposite and that kind of thing. And it was because of that reason that they had fallen. And they fell because of the weakness in the way that they had to incarnate out, where it comes down to percentages actually, where the female, it takes a minimum of 66% of whatever your quantum is to be born into the body to hold the Christ star line open. So one of the two in a pair had to have 66% open. The female has the counterclockwise spin back to source codes, so it was the female body that ended up with the 66% quantum incoming and about 33% still left in the deity planes, right, that progressively would incarnate after quantum balancing happened with the Aiden person, which would be the male person before the Christ star line is open. Now, the way it works there is the part of the male, that 66% that stays in the deity planes, wakes up the Yoshi on the ground, who has the 66% down here, and as she wakes up, she picks up the frequencies that the Aiden down here needs to open his plasma body system so the rest of him can open up into his consciousness. Should be simple. Should be easy. Made perfect sense back home. Except for the little vulnerability factor about what if something gets to the Aiden before the Yoshi is woken up and can interface to transmit the frequencies to him so his neural networks can open up enough to let the rest of him come online in his body. And that's what happened with the fallen equerry, where certain ones that are very close to the Fatale, in fact, I think they're Borgia, swarmed them. It's called swarmed, where they would send in their femmes, their femme fatale, and chakra bind them. So, and take them out of range of the Yoshis that were supposed to wake them up. And that game is being played again, by the way, just so you know. Yeah, at least this time we have a little bit of foreknowledge and forewarning. So there's a lot of problems between the genders that has trickled down to here in, at Earth at, density 1, that came from that fall of the equerry so long ago, and that had to do with the dark flowering back then as well. It's something that's done to the chakra systems that shouldn't be. That if before a feme is able to activate the plasma body structure, first the light body structure usually activates, and then after that's finished, it would kick in the plasma body structure. It's at the light body activation stage of, let's just say, the flowers, that the FAs were able, only certain types of FAs can do it too, were able to attach and take over the light body level of the flower system and literally put themselves in their bodies and take them over and absorb them. And because they had blender codes, so they were able to turn the blender codes against the people with the blender codes. The plasma body activations, which is full blender code level, stops that process. So we're going to be able to transmit the frequencies of that. We are in the process of something called the externalization of the Christ, because the fallen ones have begun the externalization of their anti-Christic hierarchy with what is called the dark flower awakening. And it was interesting, in India we did see a bit of that happen, where just certain people, and not all the time either, it'd just be like at certain moments, and they just seriously weren't themselves. I don't think a lot of them remembered even. If they would just shift, and you just knew that was not the person who was usually there. And you could feel the really nasty frequency sometimes that was running. And it wasn't that people were trying to be mean or bad or anything. It was that they had trackers, and the trackers, called the Fatale, they track you through numbers of lifetimes. They target Christics, especially femmes, actually, because femmes are the ones that carry the plasma abilities, and if it turns on, they can protect not only themselves, but a lot of other life forms too. So what the Fatale like to do is track femmes and intercept them and their activation of their lotus system, their internal biology, before it activates to the plasma stage, when it's just starting to activate on the light body stage, and before the plasma kicks in. So they go in and they literally use frequency to reverse the light body structures, which will reverse the flowering structures that would normally be our living lotus generators inside of ourselves. And that has begun, they have begun the waves of activating their fateli, and the they is, they're actually what people call demons. They're not just FAs. There's FAs and there's FAs and there's FAs, and then there's demon folk, right? They're a whole different category of FA. They're ones who chose to do that. They chose to, the path that they're on. They enjoy the path that they're on. They have no interest whatsoever in changing that path, and they're pretty much more scheming and more intelligent than most FAs that you'll find. They have more resources available, and a lot of them had once upon a time been femmes that came out and got entangled in the dramas in the outer matrices, and they had the abilities of plasma body at the time, and they lost the abilities to run core plasmas when they went into fall and their codes reversed, but they still have the ability to do some of the things with the lotus systems that became other types of flowers, the dark flowers that don't look like lotuses. They do other things, and they suck energy off life forms and that kind of thing. So there's a wave of activation of those troops on the ground, and that's why the beloveds have begun the full wake-up call for the Christic shield to let us know. I mean, it's really funny, even when you listen to like people that go to church and those kind of things, they've been talking about it for ages. The forces of dark and light rise up and they're going to have a fight. Yeah. Well, kinda, yeah. It's happening. It's been happening, but it's going to be happening more so. And they want us to be prepared. One of the things to be prepared is be able to, first of all, protect your own self. And we're going through natural activations. We're hitting a level where we would naturally start kicking in with the light body level of our lotus is activating, because we're running enough frequency to do that. Usually you have to get to a point where you've integrated most of your density 4 avatar level of frequency, and that's when it will start the sprouting process of the seeds of your lotus system that live in the chakra seals. And normally the light body structures would come out first, and then as they progressed and accreted frequency, they would start pulling in the core plasmas, which would create the seal around them so they couldn't be harmed. But as we're moving, the Christics are moving into their organic light body lotus level activation. They've put the trackers on us, and they're going to try to take over the light body lotus system before we can activate the plasma lotuses. So there are very kind of strident quantum balances that have to be kept when any of the ones from the deity planes interact with the external creation. That's one of the reasons why when we come in as a shield of beings that have a mission, to assist, a service mission, there's only X amount of people that can be in that shield. You can't just bring everybody in Femeland over, because it would be too much quantum for the smaller system that you're trying to help. So it's very, very, it's not happenstance the way these shields are created before we birth out. We take different assignments of, here, you'll hold this frequency, I'll hold that one, you need to hold this much of that, I need to hold that much of that. If we both hold that, we're going to be in trouble. That's why they did the Yoshi and Aiden split of quantum, where the Yoshi starts out with more, so she can hold the Christ star line open, and he starts out with less, and she has to help him get his Christ star line back open. But as they progress, they can grow in quantum balance. So on a larger level, the entire shield works like that.
All right, so she goes into a lot of detail here, Missy, but I put the link in the comments, and there's 3 parts to it. So that's on the Rumble. I'll just let everybody explore.
I remember hearing that before, and now it brings up a whole other thing, because she brought up the white dragons, and I'm just seeing like what she's saying, like they're the Europeans, or the white dragons.
I think Katie actually goes into some of that. It's linked to the Moors, Tribe 11, something. We did like a porch side chat that's on the Elaisa Shares channel also, and she did like an in-depth history on it, on what Tribe 11 is, the Europeans.
Tribe 11, does that connect into Stonehenge?
Yeah, that's
Two.
Lewis.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm seeing it. It's like German and, you know, Druids and
Yeah,
Vikings.
right.
And that's my bloodline is that.
Yeah. Actually, I'm sorry, Lewis. I don't, because you were saying you had other bloodlines also. I didn't mean to just say that's Lewis. Because you said
All over the
Persia.
place.
You're all over the place, yeah. We're kind of
Right.
mutts over here too.
So sometimes we incarnate into those lines because I think I've got a lot of that going on.
Yeah. We take nose
There's-
dives.
The war spots, you know, the spots where all these wars and castles and crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, so we can go back to the vices chart. Would you want to do that, Lewis, or is there anything you wanted to?
Let's go for it.
Okay. All right. If you can pull that up for Missy, I'm going to pull it up on the stream here. Let's see.
So, KDDL 2. There we go. Zoom, share, manual. Zoom in. Can you see it? Okay.
You can see it, Missy?
Yeah, it's small, but I can see it because I'm on my phone. I'm not on the
Okay.
iPad or anything. It's too
Is
hard
this any
to.
better?
Yes.
Just zoomed it in more.
So what we've been doing is, and what we want to do moving forward is just to kind of start out the podcast and invite anyone else who wants to join us with just reviewing the vulnerabilities, the vices, and what virtues that we're working with and trying to achieve. Because all of this is really linked into, to me, I think it's Christic community, because this is what they've given us to kind of check with ourselves so we can also introduce this to the community as well. So I was, I kind of started off with, let me see, prosperity, poverty, abundance, destitution, virtue 6. So I've got some PTSD with that going on where I'm not really in poverty. I'm doing good, but there's still this like paranoid effect I'm going to lose it or something. So just the feeling of destitution and poverty that's not even real for me, I guess, but I'm still trying to move past that miasm, you know?
I can see that I'm working with one right now because I didn't even know because I'm putting effective action in as I deal with my father, who, you know, he's been like not feeling well, but also kind of lazy. He's got that sloth type of thing. And it makes me feel ineffective, like to have to just work through all his stuff. I mean, it's like this, what's been really coming to me is, you know, when you say yes, you got to mean yes. And when you say no, you got to mean no.
Yeah.
And I heard it was a talk that just two different things came to me just randomly that I listened to. And the guy said, let your yes be yes, your no be no, and you have to let go, which means you can't hold on to, you know, you have to forgive constantly.
I was just saying that earlier about boundaries. Like whenever, what I'm just now learning, and a friend was really helping me learn this, is like it's not a boundary that you're setting for other people, you're setting for yourself. And so you don't have to keep reaching over your boundary to try to reinforce it. You just, it's a one and done. And then if that person wants to continuously cross past it, then they're in, that's the environment that they're placing themselves in. But you don't have to place yourself in there with them.
Right, because it like 12, freedom, bondage, codependence, independence. Yeah, I'm dealing with that too. Because if you say no and you go against your no for yes or the opposite, that codependence, right? Instead of sticking to your guns, as they say. Like if you
Yeah.
are convicted, say yes, and let your yes really mean yes. Like follow through and do what you say you're going to do. I
Yeah.
see so many people that don't do that. It's
Exactly.
just-
Kind of let the boundaries down. Nick was saying that too about even like with politics, COVID. It's like people can see it, but they just kind of laugh it off and just like, oh yeah, there's not a real stand that's there. There's no. You're kind of giving consent by doing that, by just like laughing it off, because there's no real alternative that's being developed right now so it's passive.
It's also one thing that I want to say about that too is that polarity can also be passive. So like just because you're taking a stand doesn't necessarily mean you're taking the most harmonious stand that you could possibly take. So it's very important to consider that before taking a stand, because so many people just take a stand, but it's a polarized dual stand, and that's not helping things.
Yep. They don't realize they're still in polarity. I did that for a long time with the groups, like the plasmas. So people had to, there has to be respect of free will with that as well. That people are going to make decisions they need to make.
Yeah, and I'm seeing that, all this, like to be brave, you have to have strength to be brave, and you have to take effective action. I mean, all these that are virtues, they all are in the same line. Like if you're brave, you're not going to be a coward. You know what I mean? You're going to stand up. That's like the whole boundary thing. It's all boundaries. And if you can't, and if you don't even have clear boundaries, you can't be prosperous because your energy's leaking. When your energy's leaking everywhere, how are you going to be prosperous? Right?
That's a good one for me. I appreciate you saying that.
Because you have to have a boundary to take. I mean, and I hate to use the word take, but I'm seeing like warrior spirit. You have not take in a bad way. There's been a distortion with the New Age that says you're either service to self or service to others, and I don't like that.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Your service to the whole, yourself included. You know what I mean? Yeah, because you have to put on the oxygen mask first before you can help somebody else. I mean, that's like, I think that's an ineffective way of trying to explain Christic values. That's like being a doormat or something.
Yeah, it's not very clear.
The harmony in the Law of One teachings that a lot of the New Age stuff comes from is there. I mean, it's the service Ra specifically says, he's like, service to self is not service to self, service to all, and is not service to all, service to self, because that is the direct experience of it. It's just that people aren't conscious that that's what they're experiencing.
Right. But see, when you have clear boundaries, you have to have the boundaries. You have to know who you are. It's about knowing yourself. Know thyself. Know who you are, and then know your source and know what everything else is. Know the fractalization, the step down. I guess I don't know. I can't explain it except know thyself. Know.
So what we've been doing is like we'll locate a vice or vulnerability and then pull up the virtue that goes with it. And there's also even another chart that goes into the ANRs, attitudes, responsibilities. But this one that you referred to is virtue 1, effective action. And it's got qualities to it. It looks like earth, crystal, ether. It is Aun, A-U-N. And it is the base chakra dimension, density 1. So it's built off the components of strength, balance, poise, and timing. So see how it takes it a little bit deeper? It goes deeper into your life. It talks to you. These things are alive here.
You know what was standing out though before you changed it was when I looked through the negative ones was suppression, and the opposite of suppression being communication. And that's my father again. He doesn't want to look at things. He doesn't want to, when I ask him questions like about the future, like when I leave here, what are you going to do? He doesn't want to look at it, you know? And he has to, but he doesn't want to because I'm leaving Friday.
Oh,
He's got to deal with
oh man, it's gonna be a
it.
change for him. How long have you been
Yeah,
there?
I've been here. Has it been a month maybe? And then I'm going away for a couple weeks, you know, just to my old house.
Do you frequent?
Like, huh?
Do you frequent visits with him? You go to see him that often?
Well, I'm staying here right now, trying to help him get better. He was in the
Oh,
hospital.
gotcha.
He had blood clots and all kinds of stuff going on. So, yeah.
Did he get the vaccine or anything? COVID stuff?
Oh no, he didn't believe in any of that.
Good.
But he did get COVID though,
Oh,
even still.
see a long haul.
Yeah. It's you know, because I think I told you about the drinking. He
Oh, yeah.
tends to drink too much and get sedentary and all this kind of thing. So
Well, there's
that's
Virtue
what it
7. I don't know if he resonates with any of this, but I'm putting up Virtue 7, and that's like the components and the quality of like that we have to help get out of these vices and vulnerabilities. I'm trying to pull it up here. So it's Mao. There's like a tone and there's mudras to it and sigils and stuff that you can
Grief
work
is
with.
the one that I have to work on. Grief. What's the opposite of grief?
Which one? Which one is that, Lewis? It's lagging on here now. I'm trying to pull it up. What virtue is that?
Yeah. Stop share. KDDL. There we Pull that down. There we go.
What's the virtue number, Lewis? For the grief one?
Grief, it is. I don't think it's on here, to be honest.
I don't see
So
grief.
hatred.
Fear, degeneration, ignorance, cowardice. I don't see grief
D1
specifically.
In the density 1
Oh,
chakra
fear,
system,
David. Oh, fear. 14.
14,
vulnerabilities.
bravery.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
I don't know I'm working with that one, but the one that definitely stood out too is about the suppression, and that makes sense too. Like you're suppressing your feelings, not wanting to deal with it, wanting to sweep it under the rug. And even what intimacy, alienation, like not wanting to alienate yourself from.
Okay. So virtue
stuff.
7. And Missy, we have a VARS group where you can download all these codes. Maybe you could print them out for him or something. If he's open to it, if he resonates with it, you could explain some of them, kind of break it down. This is really good stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how receptive.
To focus on just one, like I did get him to go to. There's an exercise class. He's not doing the exercise really, but at least he's going and trying and making an effort just to be there is helping.
That's good.
Getting your body to do something and being around people.
Just have to have the will there to do it, and then you can meet them halfway with encouragement and support.
What I was going to say on grief is, like I was saying, it's density 1 in the density 1 chakra system, the 7 chakra system. It's grief is the shadow component with loss. It's the shadow component to love in the heart space. And so for those of us who have a great capacity to love, we also have an equal capacity to grieve and to feel loss. And if we're feeling bound up in that space of love, it's typically because of that.
Right.
So it's getting in there and kind of sitting with the inner child, because when you feel loss, you're not just feeling the loss that's present in the current situation, you're also feeling the loss of all of your past selves all the way since you're an infant. And so
Yep.
taking the time to sit with and actually like feel those emotions, let the tears roll down and sit with your, realize that what you're doing in allowing that emotion to express itself through your physical body, you're giving yourself in those different time zones, those different space times,
Is
space
this code
and
for that the one?
expression.
Is that the one you just put up? The code for that 7?
I think it was 14, but I think that's going to be KDDL. That's what I'm trying to find at the moment. Oh, I think it's here actually. Virtue 15, Virtue 14. There we go.
Oh, wait, don't. I'm going to take a screenshot of this. Don't have it go. Oh no, it just disappeared. Don't go anywhere
No.
here.
Would you like me to send you I can screenshot the page and send it.
Yes, yeah, that would be good.
Or I can just send you the manual. It might be just easier. Then you
Yeah.
have all the information
Yeah.
anyway.
I think it has color codes in the back of it.
So your Virtue. Is there any version
Virtue 7?
of this for 14 and 15?
Oh, 14, 15. That's the crop circle.
Oh well.
But yeah, that's what Fear was on.
All right, I just brought it up on the stream in perspectives here. It's 14. So Lilith flows.
I think people with like the Iani Grail line complex in their DNA template, fear is mostly not so much fear of death, it's more just fear of loss. Because we've seen so much loss through our different incarnations because of the 20,000 years of shutdowns on the things that we built relationship wise and grid wise. I think a lot of that comes up as well.
That's me too. Even in this life, lots of loss lately, lots of cats. I just lost one, my Freya, on
Oh.
Easter.
It's horrible.
I know, she's such a
Look
good
right into her
girl.
fear.
How old was she?
She was at least 18 and a half, 19, but I don't know. She looked so young until the very end. She didn't even age until January, until she had like something start going with like her kidneys and just, I don't know. She looked so young. I mean, she was like definitely embodied the fountain of youth. She could have been 20 something. I don't know. She brought her kittens to the door.
Oh. It's
and then
always
she just showed
urinary.
up.
It's always something with the blood, urinary or kidneys, like you say with cats. It goes
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah, she was on supplements too. I mean, I knew she was drinking a lot of water, but at the end I had to give her like sub-Q fluids. But she was like a teacher for me. She was like,
They are.
I was getting downloads from her. I mean, it was unbelievable
Yeah.
the way
They have a presence. There's something.
she was telling me stuff. Like I was a part of her. Like she was like not a cat. She was like part of me. And then it was weird. I can't even
Little
explain
guy?
it. It was like,
Would you get downloads around her? Would she transmit stuff to you? Or
yeah. She was unbelievable.
I think I have a little Iani cat with Malcolm here and his brother. It's a special story because we had another black cat. We had a black cat that had green eyes also, and he had the urinary tract stuff. He was on the food for a while, and I couldn't even keep up with it. It's right when all this stuff was happening around us, and we had to put him down. It was really sad.
Aw.
And then a friend, just out of nowhere, saw this post of a black cat that was at like a farmhouse, actually like a therapy ranch place with horses where people can come there and stuff. And these cats, they lived in the barn, so they're outdoor cats. And me and Mason, it was Mason's cat, his name was Misters, that passed on. We went there, it was up in Longmont, just north of Boulder. And we both picked up a black cat thinking it was it at the same time. and they instantly started meowing at each other. They were brothers. So it went there for one cat, came back with two cats, and I swear it's like it feels like Mister's embodied in both of them because they have the personalities of them. Because he was feral, he was outdoor cat, he wasn't domesticated, he always kept his distance. But it's like having Mister's domesticated because Malcolm will just come lay on your lap, and it's incredible. They've been such therapy animals for us.
Who's the other one? Malcolm and who?
Malcolm and Onion. Onion is the other one.
Oh, Onion, that's right. I remember now. Yeah, I love seeing them. And then Frito's the dog, right?
Pock, the burrito boy.
But you call him Frito or Burrito, right?
Call him Pickle, Pockle, Pock, Pac-Man, Pock, all kinds of different names. But he's called Pac-Man because he has like a shape on his left side that looks like Pac-Man. It's like the shape of it, kind of.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Yeah, well, Arthur, my orange tabby boy, he's like the embodiment of my Soda from before. It's like Soda in male form, not any, but it's like she brought him to me, and then she was in him for a little bit, then she left, and now it's just him. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
Like she could go and do whatever else she was doing because she wasn't a typical cat either. It's like I almost feel like they're, fragments of myself and on a higher,
totally,
like on a higher. They were part of me, and now they're fractals.
I think they are. Yeah,
I do.
She's talked about. I made an excerpt on cats too somewhere. But she's talked about like they will come right to your template after they pass on and kind of wait for you to bardo, and you guys go together type thing. She's mentioned that. So they're like part of your template.
Yeah.
Dogs and cats, any animals that you're close to.
So that's another thing that's a question that maybe a lot of people have is like the whole bardo versus transfiguration path.
Yeah, the two paths of Trua. I think those are still on.
Yeah.
Safe Bardo. Well, we were anticipating when we got the virtues, she kept implying that we would get the Bardo rights. And that was, we have the prayer of safe passage, but there's actually like rights that she had briefly mentioned here and there in workshops and stuff. And when the Trua activation kicked on, she said that was the Bardo rights, was the Trua body of safe passage. So that's basically what that is.
Oh, I think that's okay, but I just wonder if any, as far as us taking our body through, in my opinion, it's not looking good right now. The way things are.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. The way things are, things have got to change. I mean, if that's still on the way she says it's on, like you had to get certain activations before a certain time. I just don't know about any of that, like because it keeps changing, everything keeps changing.
I just think it's all outside of time. I mean, the more I look at this, the more it's all revolved around time bending and time wars. Even we saw in one of the mugs, like this is the era of time wars. So there's a lot that we haven't been told, probably for security reasons. But whenever I'm in a consistent healing or clearing or something, it's happening outside of time. It's happening at my own pace, and there's no schedule or deadline. You're just in a really good customized.
About what the timeline that she says, because that's, she's got the speaker contract, but we all are part of the thing that's going on. She's just articulating what we're all kind of
to the masses.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I think it is like a back and forth thing, and it's even weird. Like we think she's going to come on and say something, then it doesn't happen, and I guess we're going to see if tomorrow night it happens.
Well, there's already been there's been an update. Yeah, that was canceled, so it's going to be tonight's was canceled, and it's going to be tomorrow.
It'll be interesting if it end up being on the 4th of July.
Oh, no, I don't think so. There's a lot of pulsing stuff going on that day. I just think it's like peeking in and just testing the waters and getting feedback. Dr. Paul has different theories about it, but I just feel like just not the right time. Like the grids need to be stable enough, because this is anticipated information for the Christics and for our shield. Like when we receive this, they know we're going to implement it right away and stabilize things. So there's probably like, all kinds of counter strategies, different things where it has to be clear enough. Feels like she's peeking her head out and just checking for storms or something.
Yeah, but I'm wondering why she doesn't even come on, just say hi for 15 minutes. Like we're here, but we can't, I don't know.
She doesn't do that anymore. I mean, she kind of had started after they started the Alhambra E group. She was chiming in, but I'm glad that she's taking a break. She's been doing this for over 20 years. Take a vacation, take a rest.
Well, I know she needs rest, but it's like, the only thing what it makes me wonder is if she's gonna finish
What?
KDDL.
They
and
showed me
go into
last. I knew there must be some connection, but I had no idea where they were going with it.
That's funny. Oh my God.
Up there.